Have you ever stood in front of the mirror and thought, when did my skin start looking so tired? Maybe it's those fine lines that seem to have appeared overnight, or that dry, papery feeling on your cheeks and hands. You might even remember a time when your skin felt naturally soft without you having to think about it. But now, no matter how much lotion you use, it seems like the moisture just disappears within hours. I get it. As we get older, our skin changes, not just on the surface, but in the way it holds on to hydration, and that can make us feel like we're fighting a losing battle. Here's the truth, though. It doesn't have to be that way. You don't need a drawer full of expensive creams or a complicated skincare routine to make a difference. In fact, there's one incredibly simple thing you can do, starting today, to help your skin look and feel softer, smoother, and yes, even a little younger. It's something that's been around for over 100 years, costs just a few dollars, and you might already have it sitting in the back of a bathroom cabinet. I'm talking about Vaseline. But here's the catch. It's not just about slathering it on and hoping for the best. There's a little trick to using it effectively, and once you know it, you'll wonder why no one ever told you sooner. Before we get to that trick, let's take a moment to talk about why skin changes so much after 60. Over time, our skin naturally produces less oil, which means it loses moisture more easily. The outer layer, called the epidermis, becomes thinner, and the natural barrier that keeps water in and irritants out isn't as strong as it used to be. Add in years of sun exposure, environmental stress, and maybe a few times you forgot to moisturize, and you've got a recipe for dryness, dullness, and fine lines. According to dermatologists, one of the best ways to help aging skin is to lock in the moisture you already have, not just keep adding more on top. And that's where Vaseline, also known as petroleum jelly, really shines. Here's what makes it so special. Vaseline doesn't actually add moisture to the skin. Instead, it acts like a protective seal, locking in the water your skin already has so it doesn't evaporate. Imagine wrapping your skin in a soft, invisible blanket that keeps all the goodness in. This is what dermatologists call an occlusive barrier. And the beauty of it is that it works for all skin types, even the most sensitive. There's research to back this up too. A study published in the Journal of the American Academy of Dermatology found that petroleum jelly is one of the most effective ways to prevent water loss from the skin, especially in older adults whose skin barrier is compromised. Now you might be thinking, that's great, but if I just put it on my dry skin, won't it feel greasy and sticky? And yes, if you use it the wrong way, that can happen. But here's the simple trick that makes all the difference. You have to apply it to damp skin. Not dripping wet, just slightly moist. The easiest way to do this is right after a shower or washing your face. When your skin is still holding on to that water, a thin layer of Vaseline seals it in, giving your skin hours of extra hydration without constantly reapplying. This is the step most people miss, and it's the reason they give up on Vaseline too soon. Think about it. If you paint a wall without priming it first, the paint doesn't stick as well. In the same way, putting Vaseline on dry skin doesn't give it anything to seal in. But when your skin is already hydrated from water, that's when it can work its magic. And you don't need to slather it on like you're icing a cake. A pea-sized amount is often enough for your face, and maybe a little more for your hands or elbows. The key is to use just enough to create that protective barrier without feeling like you've dipped yourself in oil. I know some people worry that petroleum jelly might clog pores, but here's another fact backed by research. It's non-comedogenic. That means it doesn't block pores, so you don't have to be afraid of breakouts, especially if you're just using a light layer. And because it's so simple and free of fragrances or dyes, it's less likely to cause irritation than many fancy creams on the market. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. While Vaseline is powerful on its own, pairing it with one extra step can turn it into a mini at-home spa treatment for your skin. And no, I'm not talking about spending hours in front of the mirror or buying some complicated gadget. I'm talking about using a gentle moisturizer first, then sealing it in with Vaseline. Think of it like making a sandwich. Your moisturizer is the filling, giving your skin nutrients, and Vaseline is the bread, keeping everything inside where it belongs. This simple combination is what dermatologists sometimes call moisture layering, and it works beautifully on mature skin because it tackles two problems at once: hydrating and sealing. Here's how you can do it. After you wash your face or take a shower, pat your skin gently with a towel so it's just slightly damp. Then apply your regular moisturizer. It doesn't have to be expensive. Something with hyaluronic acid or glycerin works wonderfully because these ingredients pull water into the skin. Once that's absorbed for a minute or two, take a small amount of Vaseline and smooth it over the areas that tend to get the driest. For most people, that's around the eyes, the corners of the mouth, the backs of the hands, and sometimes even the heels. You might be surprised at how much softer and more supple your skin feels the very next morning. This layering method is especially helpful at night when your skin is in repair mode. During sleep, your body works hard to heal and renew cells, and giving it that extra boost of hydration means you'll wake up looking fresher. I like to think of nighttime skincare as a gift you give your future self. You might not see the difference in one night, but give it a week or two, and you'll start to notice that your skin feels plumper, makeup sits more smoothly, and those fine lines look less obvious. And here's a little insider tip. If you want to take it to the next level, you can create what's called slugging, which is just a fun term beauty experts use for applying a thin layer of Vaseline over your entire face at night. The idea is to trap in every bit of moisture and let your skin repair itself without losing hydration. Many people swear by this method, and while it might sound a little extreme, the results can be incredible, especially if you're struggling with dry, flaky skin. The trick is to use just enough to create a light sheen, not a heavy coat. And if you're worried about getting it on your pillowcase, just lay a clean towel over your pillow for the night. Problem solved. It's worth mentioning that this method isn't new. In fact, Hollywood actresses from the 1940s and 50s, back when there weren't endless aisles of fancy serums, used Vaseline regularly to keep their skin soft and youthful. Some even used it on their eyelashes and eyebrows to keep them conditioned and healthy. The difference now is that we understand the science behind why it works. Petroleum jelly reduces transepidermal water loss. That's just a fancy way of saying it keeps your skin from losing the water it already has. And in older skin, where that water loss happens much faster, protecting it can make a visible difference. But I also want to be realistic. Vaseline isn't going to erase deep wrinkles or turn back the clock 20 years. What it can do is help your skin look and feel healthier, smoother, and more comfortable. And sometimes that's exactly what we're looking for. After all, when your skin feels good, you feel good. You carry yourself differently, you smile more, and you have that quiet confidence that comes from taking care of yourself in a simple but effective way. One of the things I've noticed over the years is that while we often focus on taking care of our face, it's the areas we forget that can quietly reveal our age the most. Think about your neck, your hands, and even your elbows. These spots are constantly exposed to the elements, and yet they rarely get the same attention we give to our cheeks or forehead. The skin on the neck, for example, is thinner and has fewer oil glands, which means it dries out faster and shows creases more easily. And our hands, they're exposed to water, soap, cleaning products, and sunlight almost every day, which can make them dry, rough, and sometimes even cracked. Here's where Vaseline becomes a little miracle worker again. The same occlusive barrier that helps your face stay soft can do wonders for these often neglected areas. For the neck, applying a light layer at night after your moisturizer can make a surprising difference over time. It won't just keep it hydrated, it also helps prevent that crepey texture that can make skin look older. And the best part is, it doesn't require any special neck cream. Your regular moisturizer, sealed in with a touch of Vaseline, works perfectly. For the hands, I like to call it the glove trick. This is especially helpful if your hands tend to feel like sandpaper in the winter or after doing housework. Before bed, apply your favorite hand cream, then smooth a thin layer of Vaseline over the top. Slip on a pair of soft cotton gloves and leave them on overnight. When you wake up, your hands will feel noticeably smoother and softer. It's the kind of result that makes you keep touching your own hands just to check if it's real. And for extra stubborn dry spots, like knuckles or cuticles, you can dab on a bit more Vaseline during the day to protect them from further dryness. Now let's talk about elbows and heels, two areas that seem to collect rough, dry skin like it's their job. These spots often have thicker skin, which can make them harder to soften. The trick here is to exfoliate gently first. Nothing too harsh, just a soft washcloth or a mild scrub to remove the dead skin. Then, while the skin is still slightly damp, apply a generous layer of Vaseline. For heels, putting on socks afterward helps lock in the moisture overnight. You'd be amazed how even 1 or 2 nights of this can transform cracked heels into soft, smooth skin again. The beauty of using Vaseline for these areas is that it's not just helping them feel better in the short term, it's also helping prevent future dryness. Think of it like mending a little hole in your sweater before it unravels completely. By keeping the skin hydrated and protected now, you're making it more resilient against the daily wear and tear that can make it age faster. And here's something I always like to remind people. Taking care of these parts of your body isn't about vanity, it's about comfort and confidence. There's something deeply satisfying about looking down at your hands and seeing smooth skin, or wearing a short-sleeved shirt without feeling self-conscious about your elbows. These little moments add up, and they can make a big difference in how you feel in your own skin, literally. What I love about Vaseline is that it's not only a beauty tool, it's also a bit of a first aid helper for your skin. As we get older, our skin becomes more delicate, which means it can take longer to heal from little scrapes, irritation, or even chafing. A bump against the kitchen counter might leave a mark that lingers for days, and a bit of dryness can turn into redness before you know it. The protective barrier that Vaseline creates isn't just good for keeping moisture in, it also shields sensitive skin from further irritation while it repairs itself. For example, if you've ever had a small patch of dry, flaky skin around your nose during cold weather, you know how stubborn it can be. Applying a little Vaseline not only softens the area, but also helps stop it from getting worse, especially if you're blowing your nose often. The same goes for those pesky cracks that sometimes appear at the corners of your mouth. Dermatologists call this angular cheilitis, and while it can have a few causes, keeping the area protected with a thin layer of Vaseline can prevent pain and speed healing. Another common issue as we age is something called friction dermatitis, basically, irritation from skin rubbing against skin or clothing. You might notice this under your arms, under the breasts, or even between the thighs in warm weather. A little Vaseline acts like a cushion, reducing that friction and preventing redness before it even starts. It's one of those tiny comfort upgrades that you don't realize you needed until you try it. And then there's the role Vaseline plays in protecting minor cuts or scrapes. Years ago, people used to think you had to let a wound breathe for it to heal. But research now shows that keeping it covered and slightly moist actually helps it repair faster and with less scarring. In fact, a study in JAMA Dermatology found that wounds treated with petroleum jelly healed more quickly and with better cosmetic results than those left uncovered. It works by creating a sealed environment where the skin can knit itself back together without drying out or forming a thick scab that can leave a mark. This is especially important for older skin because it's more prone to bruising and tearing, and the healing process is naturally slower. Something as simple as applying Vaseline and covering the area with a clean bandage can make a noticeable difference. It's one of those little acts of self-care that feels almost too simple to be effective, but it works. And here's the beauty of all this. By protecting your skin when it's vulnerable, you're not only keeping it healthy in the moment, you're also preserving its overall smoothness and softness. Because every time the skin heals without extra dryness or irritation, it keeps its natural texture longer. Over time, that adds up to skin that looks and feels more youthful, even if you're not trying to turn back the clock in a dramatic way. The beauty of everything we've talked about today is that it's not complicated, it's not expensive, and it doesn't require you to overhaul your entire routine. Vaseline is one of those rare little treasures that has stood the test of time because it works. And the best part? You don't have to be perfect about using it. Even if you only remember to do the damp skin trick a few times a week, you'll start to notice the difference. Your skin will feel more comfortable, fine lines will soften, and that dull, tight feeling will start to fade. The real secret, though, is consistency. Just like watering a plant or keeping your favorite sweater in good shape, your skin needs ongoing care. And at this stage of life, that care isn't about chasing impossible beauty standards. It's about giving your skin the comfort, nourishment, and protection it deserves. You've earned the right to feel good in your own skin, to look in the mirror and smile at the face looking back at you. A jar of Vaseline might seem humble, but in your hands it becomes a tool for self-respect and self-kindness. It's easy to underestimate these small rituals, but they matter more than we realize. When you take 2 minutes to seal in that moisture before bed, you're not just keeping your skin soft, you're sending yourself a message. I am worth the time. I am worth the care. And the truth is that message shows. People notice when you feel confident, when you're comfortable in your own body, and when you carry yourself with that quiet glow that comes from being at peace with who you are. So tonight, I want you to try it. After your evening wash, while your skin is still a little damp, apply your favorite moisturizer, then seal it in with a whisper-thin layer of Vaseline. Maybe give your hands and neck the same treatment. Slip on those soft gloves if you've got them. Then tomorrow morning, see how your skin feels. And if you keep at it, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at how much softer, smoother, and more youthful it looks over the weeks to come. If you've ever used Vaseline before, I'd love to hear your favorite tips and tricks in the comments. You never know. Your advice might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. And if you found this video helpful, give it a like and subscribe so we can keep sharing simple, effective ways to look and feel your best at every age. Here's to softer skin, to the little moments of care that make a big difference, and to the reminder that no matter what the calendar says, we can always choose to nurture ourselves. You deserve to feel good in your skin, today, tomorrow, and for all the beautiful years ahead.